motherfuckers. What's good? You know, so literally next week is fight week for the super fight between Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. You know what I mean? So this is the last week where people can like get on these panels and talk they bullshit about how they think the fight's going to play out or whatnot. Literally next Saturday, the fight's going to take place. To be honest with you, this is a fight that we all know nobody really wanted, but since it's happening, you're going to tune in, but it's not the fight that you wanted. Keeping it real with you. And it's like, this fight is a mismatch, but people are acting, I'm seeing some stuff lately. People are acting like this is a actual fight of a proper matchup. This fight is a mismatch. You know what I'm saying? Just keeping it real. This fight is a mismatch, But what's frustrating is some people are saying, they're talking like Canelo's doing this fight for, obviously, okay, money is obviously going to get somebody to do something, right? But this fight is a money grab for Canelo. This is more of a legacy fight for Crawford because Canelo is going to get paid a lot of money regardless of who he fights. But for this fight, Turkey is willing to convince Canelo to do it. He's like, I'll do it if I can get a lot of money. Instead of just completely turning it down and getting paid to fight somebody else that's more in this weight class. Because to be honest with you guys, I'm going to be honest with you all. For the, few people that listen. I'm going to be honest. I honestly thought when Canelo said last year that he wouldn't fight Terrence Crawford because Crawford is too small, I really thought that Canelo was just going to keep saying no, and then the fight was going to go away and the fight wasn't going to happen, and Canelo was just going to fight guys that was in his weight. I really thought that's what was going to happen. To be honest, I'm actually surprised that he eventually agreed to fight Crawford. Like I said, I understand the money played a role, but I'm actually surprised that he eventually gave in and said, fuck it, I'll do it if you give me 100 or 150 million. I honestly thought he was just going to keep saying no and then just fight somebody else. I honestly thought he was going to do that. You said Jose Martinez. Okay, shout out to you. You said a lot of people wanted it, especially Bud fans. Real boxing fans wanted David versus Canelo. Both are true. That's true. I can't blame Canelo or blame the Mexican fan base. It was Crawford that was like, oh, I want to fight him. That's why I said I believe Crawford's doing this for legacy. And Canelo's probably like, I'm just going to get paid. I don't give a fuck. But yes, that's true. Crawford and my side, which is the black side, wanted to do the fight because for whatever reason, just wanted to fight Canelo at 68, even though he's not a 68 pounder. But Crawford's looking at it as a legacy fight. Because to be honest with you, the Canelo, the evil Canelo fans, they're going to say, oh, Canelo deserves a lot of credit if he beats Crawford. I disagree with that. Canelo is supposed to win this fight. When you look at this fight, it doesn't make sense for Canelo to lose this fight. You dig? He's supposed to win this fight. He's probably going to win. You see what I'm saying? So why give a guy credit for a fight that he's supposed to win? This is not a equal fight. This is a mismatch. It's a big money fight, and it's a mismatch. The only thing good you can say is, okay, two legendary fighters are fighting. That's the only thing good you can say about it. But this fight is a mismatch. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like, it's not really too much credit you can give to the guy that's supposed to win. Canelo is supposed to win this fight. So it's like, he should win. Like I said in one of my earlier videos, if Crawford wins, it'd be historical. It'd be historical. Because I feel like the real boxing fans, whether you black or Latino, you wouldn't mind. I know people are talking shit, but if you're black or Latino, if you're a real boxing fan, you don't give a fuck about that color shit. You're just a boxing fan. You probably low-key would like to see Crawford win. because the historical shit that it would bring to boxing. A smaller guy goes up and beats the pound for pound king, takes his belts, remains undefeated. Like, who wouldn't like something like that? You know what I'm saying? And I honestly believe that's what the real boxing fans are thinking. I really believe that, you know? But the issue I'm having with this, you know, I clicked on a couple of panels. I'm hearing people talk. And people are talking like this fight is not a mismatch. You know, the Canelo fans, they look at it like, oh, they're trying to say that Crawford's super bud and he's a weight bully. Like, you know, certain people, they literally nitpicked everything they can nitpick about Terrence Crawford's resume for the sole purpose of being able to talk shit about Crawford. That's some hating ass shit. Like, who does that? Every fighter, regardless of how great they are, got some shit on their resume that you're not going to like. Everybody, even Canelo, because everybody thinks Canelo has this magical, legendary resume, but there's some shit about his resume that's not likable. You know, real boxing fans know what I'm talking about. So you can literally say that about everybody. This is some type of shit you find when doom scrolling YouTube lives. Yeah. But nah, my main issue is Canelo is fighting a fight that's a mismatch that he has an advantage in. And people are acting, from what I'm hearing on certain panels, they're acting like this is an even fight, whereas two guys that are in the same weight class naturally are fighting each other. And that just kind of bugs me a little bit because it's like, why can't we just be real and just tell the truth? Yes, Crawford asked for the fight. That's a fact. But still, the reality of the situation is this fight is a mismatch. Crawford has no business winning this fight. That's why it would be great if he does win. You know, I'm a root for Crawford, like I said, because I would like to see him win because of the historical stuff that would happen. But if Canelo wins this fight, you got to respect the game. Because a lot of you Latino motherfuckers, y'all get really mad when a black fighter beats a Latino fighter. And then some of you black motherfuckers do the same when a Latino fighter beats a black fighter. But really, you got to respect the game. If Canelo wins this fight, I'm going to respect the game of boxing and say Canelo won. It is what it is. Shout out to Canelo. You dig? So it ain't going to be no, on my side, me personally, I'm not going to be salty if Canelo wins. Like, he won. Shit, Canelo's a great fighter. I'm not surprised. He's beat a black fighter before. So it ain't shit. So fuck all that black versus Mexican shit at this time. I just don't like how everybody is acting like this is an even fight. This fight is a mismatch. Canelo has no reason to lose this fight. Like, I just don't get why somebody wouldn't just say that. You know what I mean? I don't understand why people just wouldn't say that. Like, bro, this is a mismatch. He's supposed to win this fight. Like, I honestly don't know why he would lose. Like, he has the advantage. Crawford is the more versatile, technically more skilled boxer. That's true. But he's fighting a guy that has experience, damn near a decade of experience fighting heavier guys and is powerful. And it's like, yeah, speed and, I mean, timing and all that beats power and all that. I understand that. But at the same time, it's like, what if he hits him clean? You're getting hit by a bigger guy. You never fought in a real fight against a bigger guy. Like, Canelo literally has all the advantages. I don't see why he would lose. Like, but, you know, anything can happen. I guess I'll say that. But this fight is a mismatch, and it's just kind of frustrating that Canelo fans are just, they're talking like it's not. Like, this is not Crawford's weight class, bro. So giving Canelo all this credit because he beat a guy that he's supposed to beat, I'm not fucking with that right there. That sounds like that's too much of some fanboy shit. No, like I said, who do I got now? Honestly, I would like to see Crawford win because if he wins, some serious history would be made. And also, if he wins, he's most likely going to retire and then the belts is going to be vacated at 168. Now more guys can fight for belts at 168 instead of the division being held up by Canelo. Because from what I heard, Billy and Pacheco were supposed to fight. And the reason why that fight didn't happen is because they don't want to fight each other unless it's a title fight. They don't want to just fight each other. And Canelo has all the belts. So unless you fight in Canelo, you're not going to have a chance to win to be a champion at 68. And I'm hearing that's why that fight didn't happen. They didn't want to fight for just to fight. They want to fight for a belt because I guess those are the two top guys at 168 in Billy and Diego Pacheco. And that's what I'm hearing and shit, or I heard rather. So take what you will with that information. You said Bud is taller and has a longer reach. Yeah, that's true. The thing is, I do believe Crawford is the more skilled boxer, like just the ability to box, the actual science and art of boxing. I do think Crawford is better than Canelo when it comes to that. But again, it's just too much weight. It's too much weight. You know, like Canelo is basically the king of 168 right now. There was only one guy that actually could challenge him at 68, and you know, he didn't fight him for whatever, you know, his reasons are his reasons. That fight didn't happen. Other than that, he's the king of that shit. Who fucking with him? Nobody. And Canelo, like I said, bro, he's the king at 68. He got that power, bro. He make niggas not want to. Canelo is so powerful that when you fight him, it's not even necessarily that Canelo was outboxing his opponent. It's just that niggas be scared to like engage and fight him because he's so powerful. Like I went back and rewatched that Billy Joe Saunders fight when Canelo fought Billy Joe Saunders, right? I recently went back and watched that fight. I'm gonna keep it real with you. Billy Joe Saunders had faster hand speed, he had faster feet, and he moved more fluid than Canelo, right? But for whatever reason, he couldn't really do nothing. Why? Because he felt that power from Canelo. Canelo touched him a little bit. In the first couple of rounds, he touched him a little bit. He felt that power, and he was scared to like just fully engage. Like, yeah, you can move around, you know, you move around, use your body, that's cool. But he was scared to like fully engage Canelo because of that power. He was scared to death. And then Canelo is an elite, probably the best counterpuncher in all of boxing, to be honest with you. There's probably a few other dudes that's probably a little bit better, but Canelo's counterpunching is top tier. Like that nigga would knock you the fuck out with a counterpunch. So Canelo is really good, but he's very powerful. That's his main attribute. He's very powerful, very strong. And niggas be scared to like fight him straight up because of that. Because if Billy Joe Saunders would have been able to like fight through that power, or let's say he was able to deal with that power. Not saying Billy Joe Saunders is an A-level fighter, but I'm just saying if he was able to deal with that power from Canelo, I don't know who would have won, but he could have did damage to Canelo. Because he had Canelo beat on damn near everything else. He was faster than Canelo. He had faster footwork, better footwork. His hand speed was a little bit faster, but he still couldn't do nothing. Because Canelo's power had him in check. He was scared. What if that happens to Crawford? Now, Crawford is better than Billy Joe Saunders. So him having a longer reach might get nullified by how powerful Canelo is. So that's what I'm saying. So it's like weight classes are for a reason. And I just don't, it's a mismatch. But if Crawford wins, that's what I'm hoping happens. So I'm going to ride with him, but I would just prefer he would have fought somebody in his weight class and then Canelo do the same, you know. But like I said, Crawford and my side wanted to fight, so here we are. But the fight is a mismatch. So for that reason, Canelo shouldn't be given all this credit. I think them evil-ass Canelo fans with their bullshit, they just don't get it. They just don't get it. Hold up. What comments did I miss? After Bum Nello retires, Mexicans will have no superstars. Nah, I think when Canelo retires, I think the guys that's going to take over for like the top Mexican fighters, I think it's going to be Benavidez, Bam. I would say Virgil, but I think Benavidez and Bam Rodriguez are both better fighters than Virgil Ortiz. So I think after Canelo leaves, I think it'll be Benavidez, and I think Bam will take over that. That's what I think. Canelo could have passed the torch to Benavidez, but unfortunately Benavidez's skin is too dark. Yeah, to touch on that, I honestly think the reason why he didn't fight Benavidez, he just didn't want to risk potentially losing to another Mexican fighter. I honestly believe that's what it was. Because I believe he would have fought him if he thought it was sweet with him. That's just my opinion. Because when have you seen Canelo not fight somebody that calls him out? So, whatever, right? Nah, people, like I said this before on somebody else's panel. The reason why people are picking Bud, all these pundits, former boxers, current boxers, guys that are educated on boxing, they're doing it because they believe Crawford is a better boxer. So people want to see the better boxer win. That's why they're picking Crawford, despite the circumstances. Circumstances alone would tell you that Canelo's going to win and should win, but people are picking, everybody that's into boxing, they're picking Crawford because they believe Crawford is a better boxer. That's why people are picking Crawford. If Bud wins Jose Martinez, will the excuse be Crawford was too black, or will the excuses be Canelo's too old? You know, people gonna come up with excuses. So that, I mean, you know, it is what it is with that. I mean, you see how they did the OG legend Mayweather. When he beat Canelo, that was a fair win. But again, Canelo fans with their evil ass, bullshit ass opinions, they say that Canelo was too young. Man had over 40 professional fights. That is not a young fighter. Man was a champion. He was fighting at a weight that he was comfortable fighting at. He just got beat by a better boxer. But them evil ass Canelo fans, they can't just keep it real and say that. It's always some bullshit. So there's going to be excuses. So it is what it is. But legendary history would be made if Crawford were to win. You said there is no excuse if Canelo loses to Bud. Nah, they're going to come up with some excuses. You know how the game works. There's going to be somebody saying some crazy shit. You know how that shit works. You know. Canelo got the kind of Canelo, I can respect the fans if they just kept it real. I could respect Canelo fans if they kept it real. They don't keep it real. You dig? He got the kind of fan base that are willing to lie for him. They're willing to fight their own family members over him. You know, so, and it's a bit much. But if they were honest and just keeping it real, like, you know, it is what it is, call that shit down the middle, I could respect Canelo fans. You know what I mean? But Canelo fans don't be keeping it real. And that's why I be clashing with the motherfuckers, because they be saying a lot of bullshit and that shit goes unchecked. And as y'all can hear, I'm not scared to check that shit. Y'all seen the beefs I've been having with these bitch ass Canelo fans. So that will continue because I'm not doing that shucking and jiving shit like they do. So that beef is not squashed. That's a fact. He should not be this fight. Canelo should win this fight. It should be a good fight, but Canelo should win. Because again, he has the advantage. He's fighting a guy that's not a 68 pounder. He should win, you know? So that's like, in a way, saying I'm going to move up to fight Shakur Stevenson from 122. He's probably going to lose despite how great of a fighter he is. You see what I'm saying? Weight classes are for a reason. It's a mismatch. The point of this video, this live I'm doing, I'm just trying to express my thought on, I don't like how people are acting like, on some panels I heard, they're acting like this fight is even. This is a mismatch. This is not an even fight. Crawford is not a 68 pounder. Canelo could have fought somebody else that was 68 pounds. There's other guys he could have fought. It ain't even got to be Benavidez. It could have been somebody else. He gave in and agreed to fight a guy that he knows is not in his weight class. Yeah, he's taking the fight serious. He's a professional. He always takes his fight serious. But it's like, in the back of his mind, he had to have thought to himself, this is the easy fight for me. This guy's not in his weight class. I should be able to beat him. Even if he's a better boxer than me, he's not a 68 pounder. That alone should get me to win. So, and I just don't like how people are not acknowledging that. They're just going off the fact that, oh, well, Crawford wanted to fight. Black people wanted to fight. That doesn't take away the reality of the situation, though. And that's what, I'm just not feeling that right there. So that's the point of doing this video. Yeah, like I said, if Canelo, if what did he say? He said, I'm a big Canelo fan, but I'm not a fanboy if Bud wins. I'm giving him all the credit. You ain't gonna have no choice. Cause I feel like if you're a true boxing fan, you just fuck with boxing, you're not really caught up on the race shit. Boxing is a racially driven sport though. So I warn you that. So most likely at some point you're going to get caught up in talking about racial politics in boxing. It's a racially driven sport, unfortunately. However, if you're a true boxing fan, you probably low key want to see Crawford win. Because if he wins, it'd be some historical shit. And I honestly believe real boxing fans like to see stuff like that. So if you're a real boxing fan, you can be let's say you're a Mexican. You don't really fuck with black fighters like that, right? You're Mexican. There's a lot of good Mexicans out there. We all know this. So let's say you one of them and you don't even care about that black and Mexican shit. You just fuck with boxing. You probably low key want Terrence Crawford to win because you see the history that would be made if he wins. So you're probably with that. You know, a lot of cool Mexicans out there that don't be tripping off that black versus Mexican shit. So I feel like real boxing fans want to see Crawford win. So that's how I view it. It's just the Canelo fans that only care about Canelo, don't care about nothing else. Because that other panel, you guys know who I'm alluding to, they don't really give a fuck about boxing and how boxing works. They just like Canelo. And that's pretty much their talking points. You did, when it comes to like just boxing, they're not really interested in that. If you listen, you can kind of like pick up on that. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you a real boxing fan, you just love boxing, you're probably cool with the idea of Terrence Crawford winning due to the history that would be made if he wins. Now that's true, but you got to understand this is Canelo. See that power. Canelo got that power. I'm telling you, Canelo, he paralyzes guys because of his power. What if he does that to Crawford? A bigger guy that's strong like that? Because he's doing this to guys that are bigger and stronger than Crawford. Like, have you ever seen Berlanga? Yeah, Berlanga's not that good. I understand that. He's a big dude, though. Pause. Have you ever seen him fight like that, where he's like kind of scared to engage and backing up? You've never seen him do that before. Canelo had that nigga backing up most of the fight. He's not a back foot fighter, from what I remember. From what I remember, Berlanga comes forward and fights. But when he fought Canelo, what happened? He felt that power and he was like, oh shit. You see what I'm saying? So it's like you can have a longer reach and height and all that, but what if a dude is just so powerful you still you can't even, you scared to use it because you don't want to get hit. I'm low key, even though I want Crawford to win, I'm low key afraid that might happen to Crawford. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. Yeah, on if this was any other fighter, I would 100% agree. But Canelo is just real powerful dude, bro. He's made dudes that are bigger than Crawford, back up, not even the back foot fighter, but fighting off the back foot, scared to engage most of the time because you don't want to get hit with them shots. You know, that's what Canelo does to these guys. He literally paralyzes these guys. They feel, like I said, I rewatched that Billy Joe Saunders fight a few days ago. He had him, like Billy Joe Saunders was doing good in some rounds. It was okay. I don't think he would have won fighting like that, but it was cool. But he was scared to like fully engage him and like really take chances and hit him. Because there were some shots he could have hit Canelo with. He's scared to pull the trigger because that counter punching from a powerful guy. And then Canelo touched him a little bit. He felt that power. He's like, shit. And I'm like, see, that's how he gets you. Now, that didn't work on Bivol. When he tried to fight Bivol, that power didn't work on Bivol. Bivol is just a great fighter. He got it like that, DBG Bivol, pause. So when he fought Bivol, that power didn't work on Bivol. Because one thing I will say about Canelo, I will say that this is actually something I've seen. When Canelo's put in a situation where his power doesn't work in the rare fights and he has to like actually box to win, that's when he gets whooped. That's when he takes L's. Because if you notice, that's how his losses came. It comes from guys that were able to deal with his power. Because when your power is not working, the only way you're going to win is by outplaying your guy, and you got to outbox him to do that. And whenever Canelo's been put in that kind of predicament in a fight, That's when he loses. Because that's how he lost to Mayweather. That power did not work on Mayweather at all. You dig? And he was forced to box with Mayweather, and he's not outboxing no Mayweather. Canelo was not good enough to outbox Mayweather, not even close. Mayweather destroyed that dude. He didn't hurt him or knock him down, but from a boxing perspective, just boxing, destroyed that dude. That was a shutout. And then Bivol low-key kind of did the same thing. Canelo probably won like 1 or 2 rounds in that fight, maybe. But in that fight, once that power wasn't working and Bivol was able to fight through that, it becomes a boxing match now. Can you outbox me to win? The answer was no. And he got that work. So that's how you beat Canelo, by being able to deal with his power. But all them other guys, though, and besides Triple G, but all those other guys couldn't deal with his power, got that work. Few guys did good, though. Mugia did pretty good. You know, he just got outclassed in that fight. Mugia's not that good, though. He's good. I like Mugia, but he's not like a great A-level fighter. I wouldn't say that. Shit. Yeah, he did, yeah. He spanked Charlo. He spanked Charlo real good. I agree with that, yeah. Yeah, Charlo got that work, yeah. But I'm gonna wrap this up, though. But like I said, I don't get many viewers, so I appreciate the ones that come on here. You know, we starting from the bottom. But like I said, if I can reach just one person with this shit, I can live with that. I mean, this shit ain't popping like that, but yeah, we gonna do it anyways. So I appreciate the little viewers that popped up, but I gotta make a run, so I'm gonna have to let y'all go. But yeah, this fight is a mismatch. Canelo should win. However, despite saying that, I'm rooting for Crawford. So hopefully he can make this history. As impossible as it is. We'll see. Check y'all out next time.